Okay, hey everybody, it's Kevin. Welcome back to another video. Today I just want to talk about my appreciation for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Over here I have the Lord of the Rings motion picture trilogy, the extended edition. It's a great box that I got a couple of years ago around Christmas time. I believe now you can get it. It's not as in-depth as this. There's 15 discs with all sorts of extras and documentaries. And I don't think they sell this version anymore. I think they just sell like the 3 Blu-rays with no special features or anything. And I also own the single Blu-rays of the 3 Hobbit movies, which they should have done. The original thing with the Hobbit was they wanted to do 2 movies, There and Back Again. An Unexpected Journey and There and Back Again, and they ended up doing 3. But enough of that. We're gonna talk about Lord of the Rings and how every year I rewatch it. I feel like I can't even watch the theatrical editions because the extended editions have so much more content, and you're gonna miss stuff without it. Like in the Two Towers, for instance, there's these additional scenes of Boromir and Faramir at Gondor, and it just adds to the story. You have all these other additional scenes. It's incredible. You have additional scenes of Gandalf. The beginning of the Fellowship of the Ring, there's additional scenes in the Shire. And to me, as a kid, I like the Two Towers the best because of the Battle of Helm's Deep. And then I began to like Return of the King the best, also for all the battles and whatnot. And I never really liked Fellowship of the Ring. I always thought it was kind of slow and boring. But as I've gotten older, I like the Fellowship of the Ring the best. I really do. I think it's great. It's unbelievable. Just the whole hour. People think it might be slow building up in the Shire, but you're getting character development. You're seeing how peaceful things are west of Middle Earth. Away from Rohan and Gondor and Mordor and all the evilness, and it's great, man. So with that also, I've also changed my favorite character a bunch of times. Like when I was younger, I used to love Aragorn, and I liked Eomer. Theoden's nephew from Rohan, and Legolas. And as I've gotten older, I've begun to like, I like Gandalf more as a character. I like Boromir more as a character. I like all the Hobbits. I think the Hobbit stories are all great. Merry and Pippin have a great journey. Samwise, being Frodo's best friend, and Frodo having the highest burden of them all. The other thing with the Lord of the Rings is the music. Every single scene that has any sort of thing going on has unbelievable music. From the Shire, how peaceful the music is, to when they're in the mines of Moria, crossing the bridge, and the Balrogs after them, and you hear like the drums beating as they're running across the bridge in Moria, and the bridge of Khazad-dûm, and you hear drums beating, and there's like opera voices in the background, like almost like church music, and it's just unbelievable. Then you have the famous battle music when they show the orcs, with the trumpet going. The music is unbelievable in Lord of the Rings, and I can listen to the Hobbit theme over and over again for hours. It's just a very peaceful theme you can have in the background. Unbelievable, nothing like it. And the music really does add to the scenes, without a doubt. Now, another thing with the Lord of the Rings is, obviously you got to kind of watch the whole trilogy together, but you can also watch each movie separately and get your own little thing about it, Like, there's a conclusion, in a sort of sense, to each film. Like, the Fellowship of the Ring ends with basically Boromir sacrificing himself for Merry and Pippin, and Frodo going away with Sam, and then Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli setting off to find Merry and Pippin. In the Two Towers, Gandalf and Eomer come to the aid of all the heroes in Helm's Deep, and I believe Gandalf's quote, he says, the Battle of Helm's Deep is won, but the Battle of Middle-earth has just begun, and that's its own finite ending. And then you have obviously the Return of the King with like the 5 different endings at the end in the extended edition. So obviously that's the end of the trilogy. Now the other thing that I just love about it is there's stakes in every movie. In every movie, you have like a little fake out death and then a real character death. In the Fellowship of the Ring, obviously you have the fake out death being Gandalf, because he comes back in the later movies as Gandalf the White. And watching it for the first time, you're probably like, shit, Gandalf just sacrificed himself for the Fellowship, and he's done. But it turns out to, be the fake-out death. And then at the very end there, you have Boromir, who actually dies. He's defending Merry and Pippin, blowing the Horn of Gondor, swinging away at the Uruk-hai, and the dude takes 3 arrows to the shoulders, and he's still swinging away. He died a very honorable death, and it's incredible. And then in the second movie, in the Two Towers, you have the fake-out death of Aragorn when he's battling the orcs and the warg, and he falls up the cliff, and, you think he's done. Obviously not. He's one of the main characters. And then at the end there, you have, I forget his name. I think his name is Haldir, the elf from, the Elven Kingdom where Lady Galadriel is, and he and his elven forces come to aid the men at Helm's Deep, and he dies. And you see him in the first movie, and he's kind of pumped up like this great warrior, the way he's taking orcs down, and then, he dies. I mean, that's a meaningful death as well. So then in Return of the King, you have the fake-out death that I see in that is Faramir. How they send him to Osgiliath with, outnumbered to the orcs, and he gets arrows shot at him and all that, and the horse drags him back, and you kind of think he's dead. Pippin's saying, oh, he's still breathing, he needs medicine, and Lord Denethor has lost his mind. He says, bring wood and oil, we're going to burn him alive. So you think Faramir might be dead, and as you know, Gandalf and Pippin, kick Denethor off, and, Faramir wakes up, and he's all good. And then as the real death, you have King Theoden of Rohan, who, he dies in an epic battle. I believe that was when the Easterlings, the men of the East, with the elephants come in, and I think he got trampled by one of the elephants or something, and then the Witch King of Angmar comes in, and that's when Eowyn comes in and says, the Witch King says, no man can kill me, and she says, I am no man, and then she just stabs him right in the face, and, that's all good. So they have a lot of high-stakes deaths and all that. There are so many great themes in The Lord of the Rings. One of the main themes is just the theme of friendship and fellowship and how everyone's a friend. And the hobbits are all friends, and they're working together. You have Merry and Pippin have their relationship. You have Sam and Frodo have their relationship. You have the 3 most unlikely of heroes, Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn, a man, an elf, and a dwarf. And, elves and dwarves hate each other, and the fact that they become such close friends, and they're always fighting, I killed 25 guys, no, I killed 24, and then Legolas takes down the elephant, and Gimli goes, that still only counts as 1. And it's a fun little back and forth you got there. And then the other thing of friendship that I think I only noticed this in the extended edition, is when Boromir dies. He's having a little heart-to-heart talking to Aragorn, and says, I would serve you as the king and all that. And Aragorn takes off the Gondor wrist straps, the wrist straps that Boromir has on that have the white tree of Gondor on them, and Aragorn puts them on. He takes them off of Boromir and puts them on himself, and throughout the rest of the movies, I paid attention to it because I'd never seen it before. I never noticed it. And throughout the rest of the movie, you see every shot he's in, he has the wrist straps that Boromir wore, and I thought that was a great homage. So, incredible. The other thing that you take away from it is how Gandalf is like a Christ-like figure, how he's Gandalf the Grey, and he's essentially fighting the demon, the devil, the Balrog, and, it's unclear of who really wins. I mean, I guess Gandalf wins in the end, but they both kind of die at the battle, at the top of the highest peak of the lowest dungeon, he said. And then he comes back as Gandalf the White. He looks like God, essentially, like a Christ-like figure. So it's very interesting to see that. You have the Industrial Revolution themes, how, Tolkien wrote the book after World War I, after he had served in the military, and it's sort of an allegory to that, and how Saruman is saying we're going to burn down the old forests, and the cogs of the industrial way will go in the darkness and the orcs. And you see, in the very beginning of the Fellowship of the Ring, Isengard is a beautiful little area. He's got his castle. He's got the trees, the forest everywhere, and then he's taking it all down, and it becomes this dark, evil place with fires and smiths and all that sort of thing. And Treebeard is talking to Merry and Pippin about it, and he's like, no one cares for the wilderness anymore. No one cares for the forest. No one cares for the trees. So there was a time when Saruman used to walk in my forest and talk to the trees. And it's sort of a way, I mean, we're still sort of going through that now. I mean, more people than ever are inside and not taking in nature or anything. And it's a very good theme that they has in there. And I can go on and on all day. I'm at 10 minutes right now. I just want to do this quick little video to show my appreciation of Lord of the Rings. Every year I rewatch the extended editions. I always see new things. I appreciate it more and more. And the movies are coming up on 20 years now. 20 years ago, 2001 was when the Fellowship of the Ring came out. And I credit Peter Jackson. We can talk about The Hobbit at the end here. But with the Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson didn't have a whole lot of money he was given. And they wanted him to do 2 movies. Kind of like how they did the cartoon back in the day, back in the 70s and the 80s. It was 2 movies, The Lord of the Rings and then Return of the King. And Peter Jackson was like, no, there's 3 giant books here. I need to get 3 movies, do it my way. And, they eventually settled on it. But you look at the numbers, and each movie cost around $95 million to make. And the amount of special effects they did, there's hardly any CGI in it. You have Gollum and Smeagol, as CGI, but you have Andy Serkis doing all the movements. He's crawling on all 4s. He's, making all the sounds. He's doing all the movements. You have Treebeard, who is CGI. But aside from that, most of the orcs, the close-up shots of the orcs were actually people in costumes and makeup. Then, when they showed the large battles, they had one and they just copied and pasted and did, that was all CGI, obviously. But the costumes, I was reading something, you have, let me show you here. So, in here you have all these 3 things here. There's 15 discs. But you have 2 discs are the movies, part 1 and part 2. And then you have all these documentaries, and watching all the documentaries, they built all the armor that you see him wearing. The swords are all handcrafted and made. Like all the outfits. It's incredible. And all the extras they had, it's truly incredible the work that went into that. And then you look at The Hobbit, and all the orcs in The Hobbit are CGI, and they look terrible. You Google it, you can compare the Hobbit orcs to the Lord of the Rings orcs, and you tell me which ones look better. And that's the whole thing. You have The Hobbit, which was a senseless cash grab. I mean, I like them for what they were, but you had 1 Hobbit book, and I could totally see it splitting it in 2 and including more stuff, but they wanted to include Legolas, who wasn't in the book, and things like that. But at the sake of just having the Battle of 5 Armies, which in the Hobbit book, is 1 chapter, and they try to make that into 1 movie. It's kind of crazy. You could have done with just 2 movies, but they wanted to make money. They wanted to keep the Lord of the Rings going. And I'm looking forward to seeing the Lord of the Rings Amazon series. It's going to take place during the Second Age. As you know, Lord of the Rings takes place during the Third Age, so it's a bit of a prequel. So maybe we'll see more Sauron, and that sort of thing. I believe they casted a woman to play Lady Galadriel, so she'll be in there. But, and the other thing with the Lord of the Rings is the casting. The casting is unbelievable. One thing I learned from reading it is Christopher Lee, who plays Saruman, initially wanted to play Gandalf, but they wouldn't give him the role because they thought he was too old. I mean, he was fine as, Saruman. He was great. He probably would have been a good Gandalf, but he was fine in either role. And it's amazing his career because, he was a star in the old horror movies and the Dracula movies in the 50s and 60s. And then he comes back and he does Lord of the Rings. And then he goes on and does voice work for Kingdom Hearts. He did the voice for Ansem the Wise. And then he was around long enough to go with The Hobbit. And I'm trying to think, the first Hobbit came out in like 2014, or was it 2012, 2013, 2014? They came out 1 year after the other. And then I think he died in 2015, so he made it just to the end there. So it was nice to see him come back for that one last role before he passed away. And, he was a great actor, great career. Sad to see him go. May he rest in peace. And it's amazing his resurgence, being in the Star Wars movies as Count Dooku and all these other things at the end of his career there. So I don't want to go on for too long. I just wanted to tell everyone how much I love Lord of the Rings. And, I still talk to people from time to time that are like, I've never seen Lord of the Rings. And it's like, take some time, sit down, take a Saturday and Sunday weekend on your days off or whatever, and just sit back and enjoy it. When it's a cold, rainy day, just watch them. They're great. They're unbelievable. Even, I guess, if you're going to watch the theatrical version. But to me, after watching the extended edition, I can't watch the theatrical edition again. I gotta watch the extended edition. And let me just read off. So the special features you have here with the Fellowship of the Ring. You have from the book to vision. So that's like, they planned this so long, and that's the other thing. They filmed this in New Zealand, and all those shots of like mountains and stuff and forests, that's all in New Zealand. It's so beautiful. There's no CGI in any of those shots. That's real. So, behind the scenes stuff. They have one whole documentary about the Battle of Helm's Deep and how they filmed it at night and how it was really crazy to film it. Truly incredible. So, if you can get this box, I suggest getting it. I got this one year for Christmas for really cheap, for like $50, and it's totally worth it. But I've looked on Best Buy and Amazon, and they don't sell it anymore. They only sell like a $30 version of the movies and no special features or anything. So look out for that. Anyway, thank you guys if you watched this long. I appreciate it. Thanks. Leave me a thumbs up, a thumbs down, leave a comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for some more videos coming soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.